Have you ever felt like there's always something stuck in your throat, no matter how many times you swallow? You clear your throat dozens of times every day, but the mucus keeps coming back. What if I told you that the real cause might not be a cold, or even your throat at all? Today you'll discover the surprising reasons behind constant throat mucus, why it keeps returning, and what doctors say actually works to stop it. For good. Let's get started. Most people assume that mucus is a bad thing. Whenever they feel it collecting in their throat, their first thought is, "I'm getting sick." But here's something that surprises almost everyone. Your body produces around 1 to 2 liters of mucus every single day. Yes, every single day. The strange part is that most healthy people never even notice it. So why do some people constantly feel mucus stuck in their throat while others don't? The answer isn't as simple as you might think. That annoying feeling can actually be your body's way of warning you that something deeper is happening. It could be allergies. It could be acid reflux. It could be chronic sinus inflammation. It might even be caused by the air inside your own home. And in some cases, it can point to a medical condition that shouldn't be ignored. In today's video, we'll explore exactly why mucus builds up in your throat, how doctors identify the real cause, which home remedies actually help, which popular treatments don't work nearly as well as people believe, and most importantly, how you can finally get lasting relief. Let's begin by understanding what mucus actually is, because once you know its real purpose, everything else starts to make sense. The word mucus doesn't exactly sound pleasant. Most people think of it as something dirty that needs to be removed. But in reality, mucus is one of the most important defense systems your body has. Without it, you wouldn't survive very long. Every breath you take brings more than just oxygen into your body. You're also inhaling dust, bacteria, viruses, pollution, pollen, pet dander, and countless microscopic particles floating in the air. If all of those entered your lungs freely, they could cause serious damage. That's where mucus comes in. Think of mucus as your body's natural security guard. It's a sticky, protective layer that lines your nose, sinuses, mouth, throat, airways, and lungs. As air moves through your respiratory system, mucus traps unwanted particles before they can travel deeper into your body. But trapping those particles is only half the job. Your body also needs a way to remove them. That's where one of the most fascinating cleaning systems in the human body comes into play. Tiny microscopic hairs called cilia constantly wave back and forth. Imagine thousands of tiny brushes moving in perfect rhythm. Their job is to slowly push mucus upward toward your throat. Once it reaches the back of your throat, you naturally swallow it without even noticing. In fact, healthy people swallow mucus hundreds of times every day. Most never feel it. Most never see it. Because under normal conditions, the process happens silently. So if everyone produces mucus, why do some people constantly feel it? The answer usually comes down to one of 3 problems. First, your body may be producing too much mucus. Second, the mucus may become thicker than normal. Or third, the natural cleaning system isn't moving mucus efficiently anymore. When any of these happen, mucus starts collecting instead of clearing away. That's when people begin clearing their throat over and over again. Some describe it as having something permanently stuck there. Others constantly cough, especially in the morning. Some even believe they're choking, when the real problem is simply mucus that isn't draining properly. Here's another important fact. Many people think drinking milk creates more mucus. But scientific studies have found very little evidence that milk actually increases mucus production in healthy individuals. What milk can do is temporarily make existing mucus feel thicker inside your mouth. That's very different from creating more mucus. It's one of the biggest myths doctors hear every day. Now here's something even more surprising. Sometimes the problem isn't excessive mucus at all. Sometimes your throat is perfectly normal. Instead, the nerves inside your throat become extremely sensitive. Even a normal amount of mucus suddenly feels excessive. This condition is often associated with acid reflux, viral infections, or long-term throat irritation. In other words, your brain starts interpreting normal mucus as something abnormal. That's why two people can have exactly the same amount of mucus, yet only one feels constantly bothered by it. This is also why treating the wrong cause often doesn't help. Many people spend months buying cough syrups, lozenges, or antibiotics, only to discover that none of them solve the actual problem. Because the mucus wasn't the disease, it was simply a symptom. The real question doctors always ask is, what's causing the mucus to increase or stop draining properly? And that's exactly what we'll uncover next. Because one of the most common causes isn't an infection. It's something millions of people experience every single day without realizing it, post-nasal drip. And believe it or not, it often starts inside your nose, not your throat. So, what exactly is post-nasal drip? Despite its name, it isn't a disease. It's actually a symptom. To understand it, let's go back to your nose. Your nose doesn't just help you breathe. It also produces mucus all day long. Normally, that mucus quietly drains down the back of your throat without you ever noticing. But when your nose starts making too much mucus, or when the mucus becomes thicker than normal, you suddenly become aware of it. Instead of draining smoothly, it begins collecting at the back of your throat. That's what doctors call post-nasal drip. Many people describe it as feeling like something is always stuck in their throat. Others constantly clear their throat, especially after waking up. Some even develop a dry cough that lasts for weeks. Interestingly, the cough itself isn't caused by mucus filling the lungs. It's caused by mucus irritating the sensitive nerves at the back of the throat. Your body reacts by coughing, hoping to clear something that often isn't even blocking your airway. So, what causes postnasal drip? One of the biggest reasons is allergies. Think about what happens during allergy season. You breathe in pollen, dust mites, pet dander, or mold spores. Your immune system mistakenly treats these harmless particles as dangerous invaders. Within minutes, your body releases chemicals called histamines. These chemicals trigger inflammation inside your nose. Blood vessels expand, your nasal tissues swell, and mucus production increases dramatically. That's why allergies don't just cause sneezing. They also create constant throat clearing. Many people never connect the two. They assume their throat is the problem, when the real issue started much higher, inside the nasal passages. In fact, you don't even have to experience a runny nose. Some people have what's known as silent postnasal drip. Instead of mucus coming out of the nose, it drains almost entirely down the back of the throat. The only symptom they notice is that constant feeling of mucus. So, the next time you feel mucus stuck in your throat, don't ignore it. But don't panic either. In many cases, it's simply your body's way of telling you that something needs attention. Whether it's allergies, postnasal drip, silent acid reflux, or chronic sinus inflammation, finding the real cause is the first step toward lasting relief. Simple lifestyle changes, staying hydrated, treating allergies, and getting the right medical advice can often make a huge difference. But remember, if your symptoms last for several weeks, keep getting worse, or are accompanied by coughing up blood, difficulty swallowing, unexplained weight loss, or persistent hoarseness, don't wait. Schedule an appointment with your healthcare provider as soon as possible. Your throat is trying to tell you something. The sooner you listen, the sooner you can start feeling better. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who constantly clears their throat, and subscribe to Health Mastery Daily for more doctor-backed health tips every week. Thanks for watching. Stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next video.